The Special Investigating Unit, or the SIU, told Parliament this week that it had to subpoena uncooperative government officials in a bid to force them to give evidence in connection with COVID-19 tender fraud cases. Now, the SIU has been investigating more than 600 unlawful and irregular personal protective equipment tenders worth more than 5 billion rand since August last year. The unit says that government officials are making it difficult for them to carry out their investigations because many officials don't want to submit requested documents or avail themselves for interviews. SIU spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago joins us now to discuss this further. Mr. Kganyago, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Sakina, and good morning to your viewers.
Curious to know, how many government officials has the SIU subpoenaed to give their cooperation to date?
We have found, this is not a big number, but we have found at least about over 200 of them that needed to be subpoenaed because they did not want to come up with the information that we want. It is for two reasons. We were subpoenaing them for them giving us the documents, but also we have made the subpoena around them appearing to give evidence because we needed to know what happened. And that has been a big hindrance in some of the investigations that we're doing.
Did you find that you had a similar experience with other individuals who may not be government officials in trying to get them to assist the SIU in their probes?
No, we do. In other cases which were not involved in the PPEs, for example, if you remember, we have done a search and seizure in Lepelle, where they were not cooperating in giving us information. That's when we use our powers to search and seize the documents. We have done the same thing in a municipality in Cederberg in the Western Cape. We have done the same in Matlosana. There are other people who deliberately either do not make themselves available or just ignore the request that we do. We have got a request that we do, which is a 52A request that we give to them so that they can easily cooperate with us. But then they either refuse to do it or they just ignore it. And that's when we go into it. But it seems like it's starting to be a trend now, and it's a very bad trend.
Now, Mr. Kganyago, the SIU's probe into the irregular COVID-19 tenders started last year. How far are your investigations, given the difficulties that you've been experiencing in obtaining crucial information from government officials?
Most of the investigations will finish plus minus now at the end of March. But you will remember that with this proclamation, because it is open-ended, the more you finish the investigations, the more we get new ones. Therefore, the ones that we got at the early part of the investigations will be finishing some now in March, and the others we have targeted them to finish by end of August. But then there are new ones, like when I'm speaking to you now, we get SMSs and people are calling in. Therefore, those ones will have to take much more space or more time than the end of August as we have preempted.
Mr. Kganyago, at this stage, are you able to give us an estimate of how much money we are talking about and how much of that the SIU has recovered since the start of these investigations into the fraudulent COVID-19 PPE tenders?
Yes, at the moment we are investigating an amount of about just over 13 billion that is under investigation. And in as far as the PPEs, because the investigations are very complicated and some of the matters are before court, we have not recovered as much as we would want so far, but the processes are underway to recover more. What we have recovered on PPEs so far is in the main what we have recovered in Gauteng, which is the saving of over 124 million that we have saved in one contract only. And the others, we are still working on them, because the complication with these recoveries are that in some of the instances you find that delivery has been done. In as much as you have dealt with the issue of the contract being set aside, you find that you've got to be fair and then subtract the amount of money that was used in the payment of the PPEs that were delivered and only recover the profits that the people have gotten. Therefore, such are complicated, but we hoping by the end of this month we'll be able to know how much more can be dealt with, because we take them to the court, the special tribunal for recoveries. We don't just go and say, now we've found that something is wrong, bring that money. We have got to go through the court process.
Mr. Kganyago, yesterday the NPA also appeared before Parliament, and one of the questions that they had to grapple with was that of perception, where the public expects to see some sort of follow-through. The public wants to see arrests being effected to the guilty parties. So can we expect to see any arrests of suspects involved in those COVID-19 tender fraud cases anytime soon?
We expect that to happen. We are working together with the NPA and the Hawks, and we have made referrals to them already with the evidence. But you must understand that once we do that referral, they then have to look at the evidence that we've given them, if there is need for them to investigate more, because we are investigating for the purposes of civil litigation. They are investigating for the purpose of criminal investigation. Therefore, we can only say to them, we have found criminality, here is the evidence, and they have got to now make a decision. Therefore, but with the work that we're doing in the Fusion Center, we can already see that there will be arrests that will be happening, but I can't talk on behalf of the NPA, but all I know is that we are working together very well, and we hope that that will happen very soon.
And we've also been seeing reports by journalists, Peter Louis Myburg, talking about the Health Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize's alleged links to some people who have also benefited from these tenders regarding COVID-19. As far as the SIU is concerned, is there any work being done into that, any probing of that 82 million rand that has been flagged in this report?
We don't know what he's dealing with. What I know is being dealt with that relates to the Department of Health is the issue of that the communication tender that was put out there. We have taken it up. We are busy with the investigations, and the investigators will, once they have found something, be in a position to give us. But that I know is being investigated. Any other, we would not know, because if the allegations are not brought to our attention, we are not in a position to know what is going on. Therefore, we would appeal to Louis Myburg or anybody who has got more information around that to then give it to us, so that we are in a position to help in investigating. But I know we are working on that particular one, and that involves the Minister of Health.
Yeah, that's exactly the one, the communications tender in the Department of Health. And just a final question, Mr. Kganyago. Any other investigations that you are doing at the moment that are noteworthy? Because we do know that the President, of course, has also given the SIU permission to investigate corruption, malpractice, and the maladministration in the Northwest Province in the Department of Public Works and Roads. Can you tell us anything about the latest developments in that investigation?
Yes, the proclamation was signed by the President now, and the proclamation is in relation to the infrastructure division of the Public Works and Roads in the Northwest, and it was also in relation to the tenders that they entered into in relation to the floods. When there were floods in the Northwest and they had to rehabilitate the roads, there was an issue that was there. And then we also looking into the contract that relates to the fencing around the wildlife resort that is in the province. And those were the allegations that were brought to our attention, and we then put the proclamation together. But the other good news that we had is that we have also gotten a court order, I think a day or so ago, where in relation to a contract that we were investigating, where some people were buying laptops for people in the Eastern Cape, and the owner of the company has been asked by the court to pay an amount of 3 million rand, which should be paid over a period of time. And that order was done 2 days or 3 days ago, And that is one of the successes that we are getting around that. And we are also, the other one that is on the way is the investigation around the master's office. We are also dealing with that. We also dealing with the investigation around the state attorneys. We are also doing investigation about the Health Professions Council of South Africa, and many others. But we are getting a lot of successes in most of the investigations that we are dealing with.
Well, thank you so much, Kaizer Kganyago from the Special Investigating Unit, talking to us about the latest developments in the COVID-19 PE tender fraud cases and some other cases that they are investigating at the moment. Right.